So today we're on site, I'm going to show you how to put up stud walls, also known as partition walls. Put a plate on the floor to help with the marking out, and also you'll see why later on. So to do this, I'm going to take measurements off the other side because it's forming a corridor. It is sometimes using framing square to make sure the wall is indeed at 90 degrees to the wall you're coming off, and in this case it actually is. You can also use the old 3-4-5 maths trick to make sure it's square if you don't have a framing square. Next up, we'll drill into the floor using a 7mm bit, and we will use these masonry fixings to fix this piece into place. So we need to mark out for 60cm centres. So to do this, we mark just 2 centimetres under of each multiple of 60cm. Next up, we strike a line, and then we put an X to show which side we want the upright on. Next, we place our top and bottom rail onto the piece we fixed to the floor, and we take measurements on either end to see what size uprights we will need to cut. Of course, the next stage is indeed to cut the uprights. Now to do this, I just place a mark on the timber. I use the square to line up the circular saw, and then cut away to ensure that each end is square. Next up, we're just going to lay the stud out ready for nailing, and then indeed, because I have got a nail gun, I am going to use a nail gun. Now you just want to go along and put 3 nails in each of the ends. Of course, you can always do this by just using hand nails and a hammer. Also, if you want to screw, you can indeed screw. Just make sure that you actually pre-drill the timbers so the screws will slide through the ends nicely. This just ensures that they don't split. This is the first reason to why we put a timber on the floor first. It just makes it a lot easier trying to lift the timber into place when you're on your own. Then you just want to go along and nail the base plate at the bottom. Next up, you want to ensure that the stud wall is indeed plumb using a spirit level. And then again, because this is a block wall I'm fixing into, I will use the masonry drills and the same masonry fixing as before. The next stage, once this is done, is to do some noggings. Now this is done at 1200 height to carry the board. Now, because I want the board to be sat off the floor slightly, I put 2 bits of offcuts on, and I measure 1.2 up. This will then give us a height of the noggins, which you can see at 112, and I cut a piece of wood at this length. This then gives you something to put the noggins on, and you can ensure that they're all at the same height, and it makes it a lot easier for working along the line and putting the nails in place. So I like to use a spirit level to draw a line to where all the uprights are, because if you miss, it's a nightmare trying to get the bits out. Then I just use these PH2 drywall bits from Faithful. These just make sure that you don't put the screw in too far and you don't break the skin off the plasterboard. Next up, go ahead and drill it into place. I like to use the drill as a rough guide, so you want to screw roughly every sort of 8 inches or 150mm, and then just go ahead and fix the top board also. So this is why I like to board one side first, so I'm putting the next stud in here. It just makes it so much easier, and then I go ahead and stitch that to the existing frame. Now as you can see, because we didn't board this side first, there is nothing here to actually carry the upright, so we need to put another piece in here. I'll also show you a little trick just in case you cut one too short. As you can see, I've cut it a little bit too short. So what we can do, you can take a screw on one end, adjust this in and out until it fits. Now just go ahead and nail it as normal. Plasterboard this, and this is one of the easiest ways of doing a small reveal rather than having to measure and cut. First off, go ahead, tap your board, start as a straight edge with your knife and run your knife down it. Then all you need to do is bend the board to snap it and then clean it up with the knife again. Perfect size, and just go ahead and fix this now in place. So here I'm just fitting it upright. This will be to fix the door frame too after. Then just measure up the height of the door frame and then measure down to get the height of the frame that we need. Then we just go ahead and make a small little ladder frame for the top and then fix that into place as required. Very high, that's how you put away stud wall and dry line one side. This is now ready for first fix for the electrics and plumbing, so they can get on with that. Join us next time and I'll show you how to fit the door lining.